Voters in Chicago and across the nation are out at polling places Tuesday to decide the presidential race, the future of Congress and scores of other issues. In Chicago, the massive interest in finding the right polling place crashed Chicago's election website. Unprecedented traffic due to voters searching for new polling places and high interest in the presidential election were to blame. "We are, of course, sorry for the inability to access the website this morning," said Langdon Neal, chairman of the Chicago Board of Elections. "We were completely overwhelmed between 6 and 8 this morning." The Chicago site temporarily redirected traffic to the State Board of Elections site for voters searching for their polling places while officials considered switching to a new server. Operators were also added Tuesday morning to the election board's control room, the phone bank where about 80 people answered incessantly ringing phones, which they said came from confused voters and election judges reporting problems with voting machines. Because of once-in-a-decade redistricting, about 20% of registered voters were shifted into a different precinct than in the previous election. "I think the redistricting had a huge effect, even though we communicated to every single voter, and we've been talking about it for 30 days, Neal said. He acknowledged that the Board of Elections didn't anticipate the volume of voters who would turn to the website to find their polling place. "I think we have done as much outreach as we can do," he said. "Now that we see an increased use of technology by the voters, we're looking into having a more massive and robust internet system that can handle the tremendous load that we had. We've never had it before." 4 of the city's 2,000 precincts didn't open on time this morning, Neal said, but said there were no reports of voters being turned away. "We don't want to lose one single vote," he said. "We're doing our best to address a high-traffic situation which we've never encountered," said Jim Balint, a spokesman for the Chicago Board of Elections. The Illinois Attorney General's office has received calls from voters confused about where to vote because redistricting, spokeswoman Maura Posley said. Voters are also looking for guidance on how to handle the 2 ballots that are being handed out at polling places in Chicago precincts. Voters can look up information on polling places on the State Board of Elections website, http://www.elections.il.gov/voteinformation/registration lookup.aspect. In suburban Cook County, very few voters waited in line Tuesday, but crowds were steady until after 9 a.m. when it began to taper off, according to Cook County Clerk David Dorr. Dorr expects voter turnout in Cook County to be less than the 73.5% of 4 years ago, but thinks it will still be high. "It is unclear if the rain will make voter turnout dip below 70%, he said. "It's been a standard and normal election with very few problems." Bob Sark, executive director of the DuPage County Election Commission, was expecting turnout to keep pace with levels seen in recent general elections. "Looking at this election, and going back 4 years ago, 4 years ago and 8 years ago we had a 77% turnout, and I don't see any reason why we won't repeat that," Sark said shortly after noon Tuesday. In Aurora, all polling places opened on time, according to Linda Fechner, executive director of the Aurora Election Commission. "This being a very critical election, as every election is, we have a lot of poll watchers," she said. "The main calls the commission has been fielding are from residents wondering where their precincts are. It's been a quick morning, but no major issues, I'm happy to report," Fechner said. "Everything is moving quickly and smoothly." Similarly, voting got off to a good start in Will County, said County Clerk Nancy Hoots. Polling places opened on time, machines were operating properly. Hoots said she expects turnout to be heavy, but not as high as in 2008. Thanks to the high number of people who chose to vote early. Meanwhile, President Barack Obama congratulated rival Mitt Romney Tuesday on a spirited campaign and declared he's confident we've got the votes to win. After closing down his campaign late Monday with a nostalgia-filled rally in Underwood, Obama went back to exhorting his supporters during a Tuesday morning visit to a campaign office near his South Side Chicago home. He called volunteers in neighboring Wisconsin. Obama was greeted by thunderous applause from about 24 volunteers, many with tears streaming down their faces. Removing his suit coat, he sat down to make calls. "Let's get busy," he said. "Hopefully we'll have a good day," he told a woman in one call. "Keep working hard all the way through." Speaking to reporters, Obama said that after all the ads and electioneering it comes down to one day and declared that a source of great optimism. After offering congratulations to Romney, he added, "I know his supporters are just as engaged, just as enthusiastic." Romney, after voting near his Boston area home, was betting that an 11th-hour appeal to working-class voters in Ohio and Pennsylvania would help him defeat Obama. He visited both states Tuesday. "This is a big day for big change," Romney told staffers and volunteers at a Cleveland area campaign office. His running mate, Representative Paul Ryan, followed a similar strategy. After voting in his Wisconsin hometown, Ryan joined Romney in Ohio before a scheduled solo visit to Richmond, VA. Asked about the hectic schedule in recent days, Ryan said of Romney, "He's kind of operating on fumes." After visiting the campaign office, the pair stopped for lunch at a Wendy's, where Romney ordered a quarter-pounder, chili and a Frosty. Ryan ordered a quarter-pounder and a salad. Both were returning to Boston later in the evening to await the election returns. Earlier Tuesday, Romney told reporters he was feeling very good as he and his wife, Ann, appeared at a polling precinct near his Belmont, Mass. home just before 9 a.m. BST to vote. Romney spent less than 3 minutes completing his ballot. Asked who he voted for, he said with a smile, "I think you know." It was the first time he had answered a direct question from his traveling press corps since late September. "If we get folks out, we'll have the real change that we really need in this country," Romney said. He waged a marathon day of campaigning in 5 swing states on Monday, which was supposed to be his last day on the trail. Obama was spending Election Day in his hometown of Chicago, making his last appeals to voters in a round of satellite interviews with TV stations in swing states rather than a final flurry of campaign rallies. The president headed into Election Day locked in a close race with Romney, according to national polls. But he appeared to have a slight edge in some of key battlegrounds that will decide the contest, including Ohio, Iowa and Wisconsin. Obama spent Monday night at the home where he lived with his family before moving to the White House. There was no traditional Election Day photo of Obama casting his ballot Tuesday because he voted in Chicago last week, part of his campaign's efforts to promote early voting. First Lady Michelle Obama voted by absentee ballot. One tradition Obama will keep, however, is an Election Day basketball game. In 2008, Obama played basketball with aides before winning the kickoff Iowa caucuses. The president and his aides decided to make the games an Election Day tradition after they lost the next contest, the New Hampshire primary, on a day when they didn't hit the court. "We made the mistake of not playing basketball once. I can assure you we will not repeat that," said Robert Gibbs, a longtime Obama aide who joined the president on the road for the campaign's waning days. The president planned to have lunch and dinner at his home but would spend other parts of the day at a downtown hotel, where he would be joined in the evening by family, friends and aides to await the election returns. He was expected to speak, delivering either a victory or concession speech, at his campaign's election night party at McCormick Place Convention Center.